Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Chris Gaffney. I am in charge of business development here for KRS IT. So welcome to the webinar today. We're going to be discussing critical cybersecurity protection every business must have in place now to avoid ransomware, cyber attacks, bank fraud, and data breach penalties. All right, so I see we have a good amount of people in the room, and that's great. For some of our clients, this might be a refresher, which is always good. And for the new people on, wanted to welcome you guys, and we're happy to have you. If there are any questions, I guess you could just write them down, and we will definitely set some time aside to address them at the end of the webinar. So thanks for everyone again for joining us today. I know everyone's busy. You guys are all very busy people over here, and we don't want to take up your time with things that are not important, but this is definitely something that Joe and I consider to be important. So we promise you that what we're going to share with you today is something that's definitely going to be beneficial. And I'm going to urge everyone to pay attention because there's something that will be required to take advantage of the special offer at the end. So first, let me introduce Joe real quick, who I'm sure most of you know. Joe?
Hi, everyone. Just want to apologize in advance. I've been battling a cold or flu the last few days, but I'm actually feeling better today. So as my cyber defense systems for my body hasn't been working too well in these past few days. But I'll do my best to keep things flowing nicely.
So if anyone needs me over the next few days, you know I'm probably taking a sick day because this guy probably got me sick. All right. So let's move on. So some things that we're going to cover today: a number of serious and growing threats to your organization. Why firewalls and antivirus software no longer really cut it. That's no longer enough for your organization. How mobile phones and cloud apps are seriously jeopardizing your organization's security and data protection. And we're going to basically go over why, the whole wait till something happens and then call an IT company really isn't smart or cost effective anymore. Studies show that it'll actually cost you more in the end doing it that way. The name of the game now is really proactive services, and that's what we try to offer to all of our clients. All right. So a few more things that we're going to cover here. We don't want our clients or anyone for that matter to be sitting ducks. And, the reality is most of our clients or any businesses are already using cloud computing. They're already, we have employees that are using mobile devices with their work emails on them. It's a trend. It's not showing any signs of slowing down. It'll probably just get bigger. But sometimes companies, most of them are adding to these elements in dangerous ways instead of being smart and strategic about it. And that's something that we're trying to correct and basically make you guys aware of before you commit some unnecessary risks here. All right, so again, this is a special offer that we're going to have toward the end. We definitely suggest that you guys stay tuned to the end, and then we can go over this in better detail as far as what Joe and I want to give to you guys. So who is KRS IT Consulting? Let me just go through a few quick things here. KRS IT Consulting is a firm that was started in 2010. We're covering the New York, New Jersey metro area. However, we are branching out. We do support a lot of other businesses remotely in other states now. We have clients that range all the way from 5 people all the way up to 100+ organizations. So we're pretty vast in who we cover. Again, experts in cybersecurity, we're learning every day. We're investing in this every day. We're trying to, be the best as far as protecting your businesses from these threats that are out there, protect your data. We're partners with Microsoft, Dell, Cisco, VMware, and HP partnerships. And Joe and I are constantly reinvesting profits back into the KRS in order to update ourselves so we have the latest and greatest that we can offer to our clients. I know there are a lot of clients on the call who might already know who we are, but for the ones that are not clients or don't know, we wanted to just take a quick couple minutes, and I'd like to introduce Joe again and have him give you a quick background on this company and why he actually started it. So, Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So, hey, everyone. Just wanted to give you a short little intro on me, so why I actually have passion for technology and why I actually started KRS. So, just want to let you know that I started out doing computers when I was about 10 years old. I had my first computer back then. It was nothing like the computers we have today. And I've taken apart that computer maybe hundreds of times, putting it back together. And I was always very fascinated with technology growing up as a young kid. And then pretty much I followed my brother's footsteps, and he actually he's still in the technology field, and I really learned a lot from him, and my passion for technology just continued to grow. I actually went to college at NGIT, graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Information Technology and a minor in Management. And from then, I pretty much worked in corporate America for Fortune 500 companies. I managed all different types of large networks and technologies. And, the time that I spent there, I realized how unfairly small and medium-sized businesses were being treated. It became an obsession of mine that I wanted to do something better and make a difference for these small business owners and their lives. So this is why I started KRS IT Consulting and wanted to become a champion for small business owners out there. And now I'll pass it back
Very
off
cool.
to Chris.
That's good. All right, thanks, Joe. All right, so we can move on, and we're going to talk about a couple things that we're going to go over today and why we're talking about this stuff today. So again, 100% of businesses that we've taken on as new clients in the past year or the last couple of years, we're actually shocked when we were able to show them the report and what they actually had going on with their network. I've never talked to a prospect when we ask them, hey, how do you think your network is? Do you think you guys are at a certain level where you should be? I've never had anyone turn to me and say, no, we suck. Like we're horrible. You're never going to hear that answer. Everyone thinks that they're doing pretty well, but these reports, there's no hiding from the fact that it's going to shine a spotlight on exactly where you're strong, where you're weak, where you have problems building up. So tons of them were infected with malware, viruses. A lot of people think they're safe because they have a firewall. However, they don't know that, 9 times out of 10, the firewall is not even a business class firewall. It could be something purchased at Best Buy or, any of those stores. And that's fine for residential, but it's definitely not up to code when it comes to business class.
Yeah.
Some of them, they think their data is backed up. They say, yeah, we have backups. And then I ask, my next question is always, okay, is anyone testing them? And a lot of times the answer is no, and if you have backups but you're not testing them, well, it's kind of as good as having nothing, because when you need them, more than not, it might not actually be working. So all that time you've actually had nothing. Plus, we all have employees, and they could be posting confidential information on sites like Dropbox or other file sharing sites. So that's something that we want to educate you guys on. And the biggest thing, everyone always tells Joe and I is, that won't happen to us, or that couldn't happen to us. And we hear that and we kind of smirk because unfortunately we see it in our day-to-day that it normally does happen. And unfortunately, as bad as cybercrime has become, it's not if I get infected or, it's normally when. It's going to happen eventually if you don't have proper security in place. That's just the way it is. So that's something that we wanted to talk to you guys about. All right. So let's move on. So, all right, so the biggest danger is your complacency. And here's a quote from Andrew Grove. Success breeds complacency. Complacency breeds failure, and only the paranoid survive. I think that's a pretty cool quote. Yeah, so if you were infected, and it wasn't that bad, don't think that that's the way the next, breach could go. Count your blessings that it really wasn't that bad. And if it hasn't happened yet, same thing. Like, just ensure that you're taking a proactive stance and not a reactive. Reactive simply does not work in 2019 for this kind of stuff. So
absolutely,
yeah, just something to mention. All right. And there we have the good old ostrich with his head buried in the sand. And I think all of us are guilty of this sometimes, myself included. Sometimes we have some problems building up, and what's the easiest thing to do? Just kind of forget about it until it hits a breaking point where we actually have to do something. So the financial and, your reputation, like all this stuff is something that you have to think about, not to mention aggravation, business interruptions, anxiety that this kind of stuff brings. That's routinely underestimated. So, and here's a little interesting fact. Most fire alarms are sold to people who've just had a fire after they lost everything. Most home security systems are sold the same way. After someone breaks in, then you go out and you buy a security system, and it's really the same thing when it comes to this. The time that Joe and I do most of our business is kind of when people are at their worst. They've been infected. There's ransomware. Their data has been stolen. So now they're not in fix this mode, they're in panic mode, and that's what we don't want to see. One single breach that can have you guys down for days or weeks, downtime, your frustration with your employees, irate clients, cash flow problems. I don't know about you guys, but like, how long can you afford to be down? Like, if your systems went down today, could you afford to be down a day, a couple days, a week? I mean, that's something you really have to ask yourself and come to a real honest answer. All right, so quick overview of the sophistication and proliferation of the cybercrime business. So yeah, please understand that this now absolutely is a business. We want to stress that cybercrime rings have become very sophisticated. These are well-funded groups, they're well-organized, and unlike other businesses, they don't have to follow any rules. It's kind of the Wild West. They're able to do whatever they want. And a few of the other slides that we're going to go over now, we can kind of show you what we mean by that. So when you say the word crime, what's the first thing that pops to mind? It might be, in the earliest days, it could be somebody as easy as, you wait to see somebody, you stick a gun up and you rob them. And then, as anything, people want to make things better. So what's the next best thing? Well, to rob a bunch of people. How do you do that? So instead of robbing a single person, maybe train robbing was pretty popular back in the day. So now you're on a train, you have a whole bunch of people that you can stick up and rob at once. And while you might not see the comparison, it's actually pretty funny because, now cybercrime is the new train robbing. Like, there's no way to rob more people than the way they're doing it now. This is a billion-dollar business. So thanks to advancements in technology, the ever-increasing trend of storing financial, personal information on third-party cloud platforms, that's the new train. Robberies are all cybercrime related now. If you think about it, if a criminal wanted to rob 100,000 people at once, how can you do that? You can never do it the old-fashioned way. The way that you do it now is through technology. And unless you have proper security in place protecting you against that, you're just as vulnerable as the next person. It doesn't really matter the size of the company. Small companies, big companies, they're all, at risk for this kind of stuff. All right? Even if you use social media, you use any sites, your information is out there. Target, Home Depot, any of this stuff, really. So what is this? So 80 million households and 7 billion small to medium-sized businesses hacked. So again, it shows you not even the large companies are safe. Remember the JP Morgan credit card hacks, Joe? It wasn't that long ago. And it wasn't one person stealing a credit card. It was one person. It was a group of people who stole tens of millions. I think they estimated the damage somewhere around $80 million of personal credit cards. 7 million small to medium-sized businesses all got hit in one shot. This was right on the heels, right after the whole Target and Home Depot attacks, where 40 million credit cards were stolen from Target, 56 million credit cards, I think it was Home Depot. I mean, it was massive. Think about that. Never in the history of mankind has any one person or group of people been able to rob people so quickly and so many all in one shot. It's really scary. It's something to consider in today. So here's some interesting things that Joe and I actually learned in our last cybersecurity seminar that we attended. Here's some things you can actually buy now on the black market. So they sell credit card details for anywhere from $2 to $90. They sell iTunes accounts for about $8. Physical credit cards sell for $190. They have card cloners that can be bought for $200 or $300. I actually saw that at a gas station, how that works. And that's insane. Like, I just, every day my mind is blown by something new that I see that I'm like, oh my God. Fake ATM machines can even be bought for $35,000. So anyone that doesn't think that, cybercrime is a business, you're really wrong. This is a business. Anyone can buy these tools and learn how to commit this kind of stuff. So it's almost like the anti-IT company. We're selling software to try to protect, and they're creating and selling software to hack. So it's really, your old classic good versus evil. It's really getting out of hand. So cybercrime is a thriving and growing business. Again, not just a few guys hanging out in the basement, in the garage. Anything you might need to steal data, it can be purchased now. Credit card details, social security numbers, number of programs out there that can gain this access very easily. There are businesses online who sell this stuff. So, again, a real business that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, be careful where you use your ATM card.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of these places, man. Cash is king. So let's go on. Okay, so additional damages and costs not included. So here's some things to think about if you were infected too, that we're not even talking about, financial loss. So your reputation, right? As a business owner, as a company, the most important thing is what? Your reputation. That's everything. That's how you gain new clients. That's how you lose current clients. So that's massive. You know, lawsuits are something that every company fears. You don't want to be involved in anything like that. If you have compliancy issues, or if you're a medical company that deals with, you know, sensitive client records and things of that nature, you know, HIPAA violations and things, you have to consider all these things. Legal fees to handle a breach or something of that nature. Again, as I mentioned, compliance issues, you know, replacement of data. That's something Joe and I always tell all of our clients in our, you know, when we have a BTR, you know, hardware is expensive. Yes. You know, it kind of stinks to have to buy, you know, fork up 15 grand for a new server or something like that. But that's nothing when you consider if your data's gone. You know, you could walk to the store and order a new server. What do you do if your data's gone? There's no data store. No, there's nowhere to go. If your client's data is stolen, there are studies that show most companies go out of business if their data is gone or hacked within 12 to 14 months. They'll go out of business. So it's very serious stuff here. And again, downtime, loss of productivity. We mentioned it before. How long can you afford to be down? Most companies, not really at all. We work with a lot of manufacturing companies. They don't want downtime at all. So that's our goal, to make sure that our clients have as much uptime as possible. All right, and if you do have backup systems in place still, you know, it takes time to, even if you're lucky enough to re-enter all that data and get you guys back up. That could be weeks if you don't have a proper disaster recovery system in place. All right, so some of the things that Joe and I always hear that always kind of makes us giggle, but we're small, nobody would bother to hack us, right? Again, wrong. 1 in 5 small businesses fall victim to cybercrime each year, and that number, of course, is growing. Small businesses are the lowest hanging fruit because they believe they're not really a target, which makes them an easier target. And half of all cyber attacks are actually aimed at smaller business. So, you know, you might think, well, you know, we're small, we're not JP Morgan, we're not Target, nobody wants to hack us. Again, these larger companies have very sophisticated security systems in place. They're not easy to hack. Therefore, if they are getting hacked, getting into your business would be a cakewalk, which is why you are a bigger target than these larger institutions. The prize might not be as big, but you're far easier to rob than larger institutions, making, you know, small business prime target. And since cyber criminals have automation tools now, they can make a large sum of money by simply targeting a few hundred or a few thousand small businesses. They don't have to go after one big one. So it's really a numbers game. Another thing to think about is that many cyber criminals are not sitting at a desk thinking, okay, who am I going to hack today? Oh, I know this guy. They don't have to know anybody. These systems are software that's automated, almost like your antivirus. It's similar to that, and it's just going to go business to business to business, and it checks. And if it finds a business that doesn't have proper security in place and that they can penetrate data, that's what they do. It's automatic. So, you know, again, just because you think you might be off the radar or low on the radar, it's not really the case.
Yep, brute force.
Exactly, yep, brute force. So, all right, so why don't we hear more about it? This slide's kind of funny to me because I think actually we do hear a lot about this. And, you know, think about that though, even as much as we hear about it now, why don't we hear about it even more? And that's probably because if your company got hacked today and you lost your client's information or you know, something of that nature, would you be, you know, shouting it from the rooftop? No, you want to try to cover it up as quick as you can. You want to try to, you know, run, you know, damage control. You want to try to get it fixed as much as possible. So these are not things that people really want to talk about. It's embarrassing, you know, when you've been hacked. Some people don't even know they've been hacked. We found plenty of people that were compromised, didn't know it. And these, you know, hackers wait for the right moment. They might be waiting for you to, you know, send an email with some banking information, and then they got that. They might be waiting for you to do some sort of transfer, and then they have that. You know, so they're quite smart with what they do. And again, you know, your reputation, horrible PR. Do you want anyone to know these things about your company, that you didn't take proper steps in place to protect them? Obviously, no. Legal ramifications, fines, all this stuff. It's horrible stuff. We see it on the daily. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. And okay, yeah, so, you know, first of all, I don't like the way this is written out, but, you know, everyone is worried about it. But if you're not willing to take the proper steps to fix it, just think about that. What would your clients think about that? If you told them, hey, I don't want to spend a couple extra $100 a month, you know, I doubt anything will happen. I don't think they would be okay with that, you know? So that's something to consider. We have to have respect for all of our customers, their information. Same way when you guys use, you know, if you use any of those sites that were hacked, Home Depot, Target, you know, you don't want your information, your credit card information being stolen because they didn't have the proper things in place to protect them, you would be mad, and so would your client. So at this time, though, I'm going to pass it off to Joe. He's going to actually go over the 7 biggest threats to your organization. Joe?
All right. Thanks, Chris, for all that information. It was good. It was really good. All right, guys. So I'm going to try to keep my voice up and running here, and I'll do my best. I'm just battling a slight cold. So we'll keep this flowing. All right. All right. So the number 1 threat to your company are your employees. Yes, it's the employees. So what you want to do, as Chris has mentioned before, there are training programs that you can take advantage of. It's a simple 30 to 40-minute online training. It's a video lesson that will go over the do's and don'ts for every employee and what they should be doing in terms of emails and different other security measures, and even including Facebook or some suspicious messages, Dropbox, all those different things. And what it'll actually do is it will certify your staff, and we like to roll out these trainings every 6 months. And then from there, we'll use emails that we'll send out to all of your employees to see if they actually would fall victim to some type of a ransomware. And it's not just to, like Chris said before, like to trick somebody or into clicking, but it's more of just testing your knowledge and making sure that you're retaining it. And if you need more training, then we can actually assign you some more training to do, which is always a good thing. All right. And the next thing too, from an employee standpoint, disgruntled employees and even vendors. Okay, so how many of you possibly have a Wi-Fi system that you lend out the Wi-Fi code? Okay, if you don't have a Wi-Fi network with guest access or some type of a guest Wi-Fi, you're leaving yourself prone out there to an attack. So someone can pretty much sit on their laptop, get into your network, and start wreaking havoc from there. They could either start stealing information, start running code on there that will start encrypting all your files and pose as a ransomware threat. And then you'll have to pay in Bitcoins and try to get all that sorted out. Before you know it, your business is shut down, and you're losing money by the minutes and the hours. So don't let that kind of happen to you. Make sure you have systems in place to, one, disable previous employees that have been working for you that are no longer working. And for vendors that have your Wi-Fi code, you definitely want to either change your Wi-Fi code immediately and then look to upgrade your Wi-Fi system to have those 2 different networks. So you'll have a corporate network that will only be accessible to your employees, and then you'll have a guest network that will only be accessible to outside vendors that maybe come in to use your conference room and access the internet. So just keep aware of that, okay? And the number 2 threat is malware. So there's 82,000 malware threats released per day, okay? So this is something serious, and you want to have the proper systems in place to protect against this. Antivirus and just like a basic firewall doesn't cut it anymore, all right? You definitely need different systems in place to be able to protect from these malware threats and these cybersecurity threats that are being released. As Chris mentioned, a lot of these things are automated, right? They'll just pretty much go to each business and see if they can get through, and then once they get through that business that doesn't have the proper protections in place, they'll start encrypting all of your files, and then before you know it, you walk in the office the next day, and then you have this big red message on your screen that says, warning, you've been infected with ransomware, you must pay the ransom in order to release your files. And not only that, we've been learning that a lot of these hackers out there are not even quote unquote doing the whole honor code. You actually pay for your data and they actually end up deleting it. So it's not like, hey, I'll just pay the ransom when it comes through. It's actually not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get your data back. So don't fall victim to that. And what we actually suggest utilizing here in this aspect is getting yourself out of the whole antivirus realm and going into something that's called endpoint protection, which I'll go further in some of the slides upcoming. Okay, so endpoint protection is what you want to be using here. Do not use antivirus anymore. It does not work. All right, so then we're going to go over 2 different scenarios here. Chris and I are going to share this slide. Story number one is something that I'm kind of familiar here, and I ended up being a big advocate for this backup the disaster recovery product for one of our clients. And number two is an issue that Chris was working with, and you'll kind of go over. So story number one of our clients was a little hesitant on purchasing one of our more sophisticated backup products, which is a system that's called Datto, and it's a backup disaster recovery system. What it actually does is it takes photocopies or snapshots of your entire system every 15 minutes. So if there was some type of a failure, we'll be able to recover your systems as of 15 minutes ago. So this includes ransomware attacks or some type of a cyber breach. We'll be able to basically roll back your systems. And wouldn't you know it, actually, client ended up actually purchasing the system, and about a month later, they had some type of a compromise on their system. The ransomware started kicking in. Within minutes, we got them up and running. And this was a big manufacturing plant that just simply could not afford to have any type of downtime. The IT director that we were working with was so happy. It actually probably saved his job, I would say, because had their systems been breached and they didn't have these proper systems in place, their manufacturing plant would have been down for at least several days, maybe even weeks.
Easily.
And that's something that most businesses cannot afford to have. It's just, you have to have these systems in place.
Well, that's great that you have a happy Disney story ending, but my story was more like a horror movie genre. So without naming names and getting into details like that, I will say we had a prospect contact us from the city. They were looking into network maintenance. They were looking into cybersecurity. We went through our whole assessment. We found that they were actually quite vulnerable. They had very little, if anything, in place that would protect them from anything of that nature. We gave them our best advice, what they should be doing, but, we can't make anyone sign, on the dotted line. We can give you our best advice, what you need, but ultimately, it's up to them to come through and decide that they want to invest in their company and their technology. So unfortunately, they didn't. And wouldn't you know it, less than a week later, I got a panic call from the director over there, who actually realized they were infected with ransomware at that point. The cost of it actually exceeded what it would have cost our whole yearly fee for them to maintain their systems, to proactively make sure that they're doing the right things and to protect them. And they didn't act quick enough. They had no idea about Bitcoin and all that. So by the time they contacted us, their data was locked up. They weren't able to get back the data that they needed. They had something to do with government, so there was compliance issues there. It was a nightmare, to say the least. I won't even get into the whole thing because I think there's still some legal issues that they're dealing with, so I don't want to say too much. But it was the thing that upsets me about it, Joe, is it was so preventable. That's all. A lot of this stuff is so preventable. The risk to reward is just, it's not that much to invest in a quality cybersecurity program, but not doing it could cost you your business, and unfortunately, and I think his job as well. So unfortunately, in this case, that's kind of what happened. So sometimes, these kind of things you have to understand, guys. It's a proactive approach you need to have. Yeah. You really can't take a reactive approach when it comes to cybercrime. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah. All right. So moving along, number 3, bank fraud, and also something that's called CEO fraud, which I'll go over slightly on this slide. So the FDIC does not protect you from any type of bank fraud, and the bank is not responsible for getting your money back. This is 100% true. So the way this works, and you may get some false information from your bank, and the way that bank fraud works is a hacker will be able to spoof your emails and write a nice type of email where it says, hey, I need you to wire some money over to this account. And it may come from the CEO. Usually it does come from the CEO. And you'll basically, maybe the CFO of the company or whoever is handling the money for the company itself. The email maybe says something like, hey, I need you to wire this money right now immediately. I'm in an important meeting right now. Do not call or text me or anything like that. Just do this real quick for me, and I'll call you when I get out of my meeting. And this has happened actually. So there's companies that have lost more than hundreds of thousands of dollars when it came to this. And it's very big in the real estate market, as Chris said. In the real estate market, what they'll actually do is they'll hack your system, wait at the right opportunity, and when they notice that some type of a transaction is going on with wire instructions, they'll actually intercept that email and they'll send their wire instructions to their bank. And then once you actually commit that wire, it's pretty much too late. That money is in the other person's hands, and it's very hard for you to get your money back. And there's lots of horror stories. I urge you to go out on the web and read some articles out there, but this happens every day. So don't let this happen to you, and make sure that you take some simple precautions. If a message says don't call, call. Okay, pick up that phone and call, or even text. Just make sure you are checking in with whomever, especially the CEO, even though they tell you not to call them, because it could save the company thousands of dollars right there. And possibly your job too, maybe.
Yeah, if you don't get verification from them to send it, don't send it. Just wait. I know you'd rather not get in trouble, but ultimately it'll save you. So don't, make sure you get verification on the phone.
Yes, just make sure you have some type of an SOP structure internally for that. That's the best way that we can tell you to protect yourself against that. And here's some more tips actually. So cancel and limit your debit card. I know that sounds a little extreme, but you know, it is really the #1 way that bank accounts can get compromised. All right. So something with your PIN code, if you're using it at, let's say some type of a retailer, there is a way that actually you can bypass using your PIN code. I think a lot of people don't even know this, but and when it asks you to enter a PIN code, you can typically hit the green button on the actual ATM machine or the card reader machine.
Unless you're getting cash back.
Correct. Yes. If you're using, if you need cash back, you have to put your PIN code in. But if you press the green button, it'll go in as a credit transaction, and then you have to sign for the actual transaction itself instead of putting in a PIN code. I urge you to do that as much as you can. I know sometimes you're limited and you can't. And try to just limit your debit card as much as possible. Use a credit card instead. Credit card, at least you have some type of protection. You can call up your credit card company. You could say, hey, I didn't actually purchase this. It wasn't me. And they can actually reverse the charge and do a credit dispute, and you're not liable for that charge. So you have a little bit of protection there. #2, use a dedicated PC for online banking. And don't use it for anything else other than banking, okay? Don't use it for social media. Don't use it for email or other websites for downloading any music or movies if you're doing that, any of those sorts of things, okay? Just use it only for that, and that'll grant you a little bit more protection there, okay? Sign up for email alerts whenever you have any type of withdrawal over $100, okay? This is a great little nifty tool that you can do, and it's free, okay? Require your signature for any wire transfers, okay? Just make sure you have that in place. You can ask your bank to do this. All right. And then the last two here, have your money spread out in different accounts, okay? So if one of your accounts gets compromised, at least they didn't get the other ones, right? So it's almost like the saying goes that don't have your eggs in one basket. This can kind of help prevent that. And the last one is carry crime insurance, okay? Crime insurance could help recoup some of your losses, but again, it's not something that's going to prevent this from happening. So just try to be very cautious on what you're doing. Crime insurance might help out with some litigations or lawsuits and maybe recoup some of your losses, but it's always good to have, and it may not cost you much more to carry that insurance. And we don't sell insurance, so you may want to definitely reach out to your insurance carrier, okay? All right, #4, social media. So this is another big threat, and guess what? And your employees are most likely using it every day, okay? Every day they're at work, they're using this. They might get an email that says, hey, your Facebook password needs to be changed. We're offering a new login for Facebook. This message may seem a little old and dated, but actually they still use it. It deceives a lot of people out there. It looks legit, you know, but if you're not reading this email carefully, you might go ahead and click on there and start changing your password. And before you know it, nothing happens, but now they actually have your password. So definitely want to avoid this from happening, okay? And here's another interesting issue about your social media on your business. So significant loss of productivity. And here's some stats that we were able to find online. 37% of employees are an hour or less that they're actually on social media. 29% between 1 to 2 hours. 21% between 2 to 5. 8% 6 to 10. And then 3%, which is pretty astounding, 10 or more hours.
Where do I apply for that job?
I think it's probably maybe a security guard, maybe at a mall or somewhere. But I mean,
would your eyes fall out 10 hours on?
If you're on social media for 10 hours, and let's say you're probably maybe like a security guard of some sort, I don't really think that's good security for that company. So
I don't think so.
So you just want to keep aware of that. Like you may want to actually limit social media. There are ways that you can block social media or have certain times where it's available to employees to access. So it's definitely worth noting there. Oh. And here's another way where social media could be used, to harm your business. Okay, so it's a bad PR stunt here. A Burger King employee was posted pictures of himself standing on bins of lettuce, and then wouldn't you know, I mean, this actually cost Burger King thousands of dollars of people being angry that this is what he did with lettuce, and it's kind of disgusting, wouldn't you know? I mean, I don't think I'd ever eat at Burger King knowing this, and who knows what else is going on. So again, limit usage of social media as much as possible. It's just another easy way for it to do some damages to your business. Number 5, so this is something we kind of touched on. This is that ransomware message that you do not want to have come up on your screen, okay? This is probably the most scariest message you'll ever see on your computer. When this happens, if you do not have the proper systems, and especially that backup and disaster recovery product that I mentioned earlier, which is called Datto, there is pretty much very limited options at this point. At this point, you'll have to pay the ransomware, which could be hundreds and thousands of dollars. As you saw in one of the earlier slides, a hospital paid close to $17,000. But in today's value of Bitcoins, that would have been probably around $100,000 of value that they would have had to pay to unlock their files. And again, there's no guarantee that they're going to release your data. They may have already just deleted it, and you fall victim to paying it, and then you don't get anything in return.
And getting Bitcoin is not an easy thing to do.
No,
it's a system you don't want to really get involved with.
Bitcoin is very difficult to obtain. It's not just simply, okay, I'm going to go into a bank and I'm going to ask for Bitcoin. Banks don't offer Bitcoin. You have to go into a special financial institution that carries them. And then a lot of times they actually want you to write some type of a check or even bring cash to get Bitcoins. You can't even just buy them instantly. There's no way to just buy Bitcoins right away.
Not only that, the ransomware fee can change day to day. It might start off at a certain amount, and by the next day, it goes higher and higher. So it's really a race against the clock with no guarantee.
Yep. Actually, so this was the slide that I was referring to. I thought that we went over this slide. So this is where an LA hospital CEO says he paid about $17,000 in ransomware to hackers, which in today it would be close to maybe about $100,000 in fees. So don't let that happen to you. The ransomware just grows and grows day by day. All right, number 6 is unsecured, unmonitored mobile devices. So I'm sure everyone here has a smartphone, and again, there is a system to be able to monitor and find and track your phone, and even remotely administer it should something go wrong. Well, what can go wrong? Well, you can lose your phone, right? Most of you probably have corporate email on your phone, and you may have other information on your phone that might be personal to you, maybe your social security or maybe some credit card numbers or other things. This is an easy target. you know, your phone could get stolen, you can lose it somewhere, and then hackers can pretty much access all your data. And most people don't even have a password on their phone, or they might have a password that's just 123 4.
Right, something predictable.
Right. So again, don't use simple, easy passwords. Definitely put a password on your phone, and you're going to want to have to do some type of monitoring of your device. There are ways that you can download a product to monitor your device. If you have any questions on this, Chris and I will help guide you. Or as part of our managed services plan, we do have a way that we can add on a little piece of software that will allow us to GPS track your phone, remotely wipe it if we need to, or lock the phone, or even ring the phone on full blast if you're trying to find it somewhere. So
not only that, as Joe mentioned, a lot of these people do have company email on their phones, and you'd be amazed at how many people that are no longer with the company still have access. They weren't removed as users.
Yeah,
there's not a proper plan in place to remove and deactivate users, so that's definitely something to be concerned with.
That's true. That's true. All right, number 7, spam. Okay, so spam is one of the largest ways that you get a breach in any company, but it's not the only way. Okay, so you have to be very careful and very diligent on looking at all of your emails and reading them very carefully and specifically. What you want to make sure is when you do look at your email, and if something does not look legitimate, look at the actual sender. Okay, hover your mouse over any links that they might be sending you to. If you don't recognize the website that they're bringing you to, don't click on it. It's most likely some type of a breach or a ransomware looking to happen. So you want to limit your exposure to some of this. And another way that you can protect yourself is there's a spam filtering system that we actually include with all of our managed plans. The spam filtering system will scan your email over 7 different cybersecurity systems and scanning engines. And before it actually gets to your mailbox, it'll actually be quarantined in an online portal where you can go in and review it safely without, accessing or activating any type of ransomware. Or it'll actually go into your junk mail. So just you definitely want to have something in place there to help protect yourself. Okay. All right, so this is a great question. How do you protect yourself? Well, I'm going to get to that right now. So if you haven't been taking some notes, now is definitely a great time. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, and Chris has mentioned as well, having just a firewall and antivirus is not sufficient enough anymore. That may have been okay maybe about 10 years ago, but in today's day and age, these hackers have many ways of getting around a simple firewall that's maybe not a business class firewall. If you're going out to Best Buy or Target or Staples to purchase these products, highly advise that you do not do that. You want to get something that's a business class type of firewall. Antivirus as well. So antivirus doesn't cut it anymore. Antivirus, the way that it works, it only has a list of known threats. And that list of known threats might get updated every few days, maybe a week or so. And if your threat is not listed on there, guess what? When you click on something on your computer, it'll automatically activate that ransomware. So what we actually suggest for you to use is something that's called Endpoint. Endpoint will actually block and detect threats before they even come out. And there's forensics built into there. There's rollback features where we can actually roll back your system if you do get infected. The endpoint that we use will protect you much, much better than what an antivirus can do. Okay. Employees need to be educated and tested, so you need to do this every 6 months. I mean, it's a great thing to do, and it'll, you could also lock down and permit only certain things to happen within the company's reach. Okay, and you want to be able to, make sure you have a good backup and ongoing monitoring and maintenance of your systems. Okay, this is very, very important. A lot of companies kind of overlook the whole, well, I'll kind of maybe do it myself, or I don't know, maybe my nephew kind of knows how to do some of this. They don't have all of these systems in place that we do and test and use on a day-to-day level. So it's not something you want to take a risk with your business. So definitely want to, get a professional company in there to do this on a daily level and a 24/7 proactive level for you, okay? All right, and here are 15 ways. I'm going to briefly go over these. I'm going to try to save some time here because we're almost at the top of the hour. So number one is a security assessment we can do for you. It's a 27-point inspection, and we'll pretty much review your entire network for you and put it down in a nice, clean executive report for you to review and show you the different problem areas you might have. So that's number one way to get started. Spam email I just went over, okay? That's basically getting a spam filtering type of solution in your company. Login passwords, okay? Make sure you're changing your passwords at least every 90 days and as most as probably every 30 days, okay? I know it's kind of annoying and being able to manage different passwords. You can get yourself a password manager to help keep those passwords stored, okay? There's different password managers out there that you can research on. Security awareness went over several times in this presentation. You want to educate your employees and make sure that they're tested and trained every so often, okay? These cyber threats change lots of different times throughout the year, so you want to at least do these trainings at least 6 months or more. 3 to 6 months is what we would say. Advanced endpoint protection, we went over this just briefly. That's a more sophisticated product than antivirus, okay? So you don't want to go with antivirus anymore. If you have antivirus, you want to start looking at endpoint protection. We have one that's called SentinelOne. We have licensing available. SentinelOne is actually not available for small businesses because of there's a licensing quantity that's needed with SentinelOne, but we're able to secure even lower quantities. So if you needed only 1 license, 5 licenses, 20, 30, 50, whatever it might be, we'll be able to get those for you. So you may want to talk to us about getting SentinelOne if you don't have that in your system yet. All right, here are the next 6. Multi-factor authentication is basically getting, it's something like your banking institution probably provides you when you have to sign into some type of a website that may have some type of company information or financial information. They'll text you a code or send a code to a multi-factor type of authentication system where it will send you a 6-digit PIN code and you have to type it into the website. So it's the same mechanism here. We can enable this for your email systems or some of your financial systems that you're using in place. Next one is computer updates. This is something we do, and you can do kind of on your own, but we'll be able to automate this and make sure that all the systems are up to date all the time, okay? So this is updating your computer and making sure that you have the latest patches available. Next one is dark web research. This is a monitoring system that you can run. We actually run it daily for all of our clients. So if we find your maybe possibly your social security or your password or banking information on there, we'll be able to quickly alert you and let you know that, hey, your information has been breached. You need to stop using it or lock your accounts up and then switch it out and have some systems in place so that you don't get compromised there. SIM log management is a firewall mechanism. So on a lot of the business grade firewalls, there is a way that we can enable a security mechanism that'll be able to tell us if there's a possible breach on your network or some type of compromise, okay? So a lot of those firewalls that you pick up from Best Buy or Staples, Target, or Walmart, they will not be able to do this, okay? You have to spend a little bit more to get a more business grade type of firewall that will provide this layer of security. Web gateway security is basically filtering out the bad guys, different countries. What we can do is geofencing, so we can block out certain countries from accessing your data. We can prevent certain websites. We can prevent known bad websites from accessing your company data, okay? So that's just basically a filtering mechanism that can be enabled on some firewalls, or we can offer it as a cloud service. And the last piece here on this list, we briefly went over, again, it's just having that extra mechanism that will a software tool that will help prevent your phone from being compromised or stolen. We'll be able to track, GPS track, wipe, erase, or try to help you lock out the device if needed. And the last four here, we have, again, firewall is key. Encryption, encrypting all of your systems is basically like password protecting all of your files. This is something that we can do if, let's say, you do lose your laptop. It could happen, maybe you're at an airport, you leave your laptop there for a few minutes, you're going to grab a cup of coffee, and then you turn around, your laptop is gone, right? That can happen, and if it does, the hacker can now take the drive out of your computer, plug it into his computer, his or her computer, and be able to read all of your information. So don't let that happen to you. If you do have encryption, then the laptop is pretty much as good as nothing. It's just one big paperweight to them at that point. Backups, again, I can't stress how important this is. Backup is one of the next line of defense is when you do get a ransomware. If you don't have the proper backup in place, or if you're only doing nightly or weekly backups, then you will be down for a few days until you can recover your data. And you have to test your backup too. If you're not testing your backup, then your backup may be as good as nothing pretty much at that point, because it may not be even working. Even though it's showing a green check mark saying, yeah, it's being backed up, you might not be backing up all your files, or maybe it's not backing up anything. Sometimes that has happened. And the last part is cyber insurance. We've mentioned it before, okay? Cyber insurance, check with your insurance company. It'll kind of help recoup some of the losses, but that's not something that will protect you or be able to provide you with Bitcoins or anything like that. It's more just for recovery purposes. All right, and I'm going to pass it off to Chris, so he's going to go over some of the systems and softwares that we actually have in-house that we can provide to you, and take it away.
Thank you, Joe. That's a lot of great technical information there. And guys, I know it seems like we're throwing, a plethora of things at you. Don't worry, you don't have to know or learn all this stuff. I mean, that is why we're here. We're just trying to show you that there is a lot to know about it. It's not a simple thing, which is why you want a company in place doing something like this for you. So, okay, so announcing our premium cybersecurity plan. We're going to try to get through this fairly quick because we do want to save some time for questions. So it's a three-piece plan. It's very simple. It's very affordable. It basically complies of a few things that Joe already mentioned: endpoint protection, which you just went over, dark web scanning, which also we went over, and employee training program. So these three things, if you want more information on them, definitely get in touch with us. But our plan basically consists of all three of these things together. We don't break them apart because they just don't simply work apart. It's really a puzzle piece that you need put together. It would be like if you got a car warranty and you said, I want the motor covered, but not the transmission. It doesn't make sense. You want to protect the whole car. You want to protect your network. So that's basically what we want to do. All right. So this service is ideal for business owners who, okay, so again, this is for companies who are very interested in their system. They're very hands-on. They need to be running 24/7, 365, no downtime. You're concerned with the security of your data. You want to avoid unexpected, expensive IT bills for repairs because, a call to an IT company randomly, that can quickly add up. All IT companies are $150, $200 an hour. If they don't know your network already, it's going to take them longer, so it's going to be more costly. A lot of things to think about. Just basically, you want to build on someone that you can trust, and we know our clients have a great reputation with us. I believe we're one of the only IT companies that I've known that have offered a 90-day money-back guarantee. Yeah. We're going to do exactly as we promised. There's no surprises. So that's why we would do something like that. We're comfortable doing that.
Yep.
All
Trust
right?
is a big factor.
Trust is huge in any business. So ultimately, what do you want? You want peace of mind, right? You guys don't want to have to think about this kind of stuff. As I mentioned, it's a lot we're throwing at you. You don't want to have to learn it. You basically want to pass it off, right? You want to say, okay, I just want it to work. Just make sure I'm protected. And that's where a company like KRS basically comes into. We're happy to have you pass it off to us. All right, so 3 steps to getting started. The first 2 are free. So what are we doing now? So we're going to do a network assessment. And basically that's, as we mentioned before, we'll come in. It's hands-on. We'll send one of our technicians out. We'll be able to gather your information so we can then go ahead and see where you're vulnerable, what you need help with, what kind of systems you need in place, what you have, what you don't have. Then Joe and I will come up with an action plan that's very customized to your business, what you want. And then basically, if you decide to work with us, great. Then it would be onboarding you, getting you up to the basically the system that we need you to be on to make sure you're at a level where we can support you and you guys are happy. And that's it. It's really that simple. To go a little bit more in depth about the assessment, as I mentioned, it's a very thorough report, but we don't go through everything. We kind of break it down into like a summary as far as like what you need to know, the changes that we'll be making, where you're vulnerable now, and basically that's what the network assessment consists of. We will never look at financial information or anything like that. It's non-intrusive. We don't store any software on your computer, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. We're aware of all that, and a lot of people already have IT companies, so if it needs to be done with discretion, that's fine. We can do that as well. And then the next step, we do the plan. We create the customized plan that we'll put in place for you guys to protect you, to cover your network maintenance, to give you access to help desk, to give you cybersecurity, all the things that a company would need in this day and age to survive. All right, so at this point, one of three things will happen. Option one, you like the plan, but you opt to do it yourself or find an alternate option, another company to do it, or maybe the people you already have. Option two, you like the plan, you opt to have us implement it and manage it for you. Obviously, that would be
number two,
what we would be cheering for. That's what we're reaching for. Or option three, you opt to do nothing. I know option three is the easiest option, but please, we urge you, do not do option three. We would rather see you hire somebody else to do it than see you do nothing. And then, like we mentioned, some of the horror stories that we've seen firsthand, we don't want to see that happen to anyone's business. We don't want to see, people put in that position. So we do urge you to please do something. All right, so special offer here. So it's dark web scan. It's only $99. Again, we urge everyone, if you do not already have us doing this for you guys, if it's not in your contract and you have cybersecurity with us, please get one done. You should be doing this anyway, at least a few times a year. Really, monthly would be better. We actually do it for our clients on a daily. We do this daily, and we basically will reach out and let them know if there's anything wrong. So if you haven't had a network scan done in a while, we ask you to please purchase this. It's one of the best things that you can invest in. It's not expensive at all.
It's not really much. I mean, we're just doing this to help build awareness, and we want to make sure that you're serious about committing to your business and the issues out there.
Right, and by purchasing this for all new prospects or break-fix clients that we have, we will do a free on-site network assessment. This is, remember, a $2,000 value because many firms will hire us to do these for them a few times a year, just for assurance or peace of mind that their systems are up to snuff and they're actually, their technology, they're where they want to be. But we'll come out, we'll do that for you guys for free with the purchase of the dark web scan. Two things that you need to know. So Joe and I, we can only actually offer this free assessment until March 29th due to limited resources. As always, there's no obligation to buy. We'll do the plan for you. And again, it's up to you guys whether you want to implement it or not. So please don't feel like there's going to be every, heavy sales pressure or anything like that. We don't really work that way. That's not the way this company operates. We're here mainly to educate you and show you what's out there. All right. So what to do now, go to this website, pick a time on your schedule for us to meet. So there is the link if you guys want to write that down. That would be what you would need to do to get in touch so we can take the next step for you guys. We want to thank everyone for their time on this webinar, and we do see there's a couple questions, so we can quickly go through them. Or actually, you know what? I think we're really at the top of our hour.
At a time, so what we'll do is any of the questions that came through, we'll take them offline and we'll email everybody. But again, we wanted to thank everybody here for their time, and I know it takes a lot to take an hour out of your day to attend this, but I hope this was worthwhile and very informative. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Even if you're a client of ours and you want to learn some more information, just visit this website here and just pick a time to chat, and then we'll talk to you then, okay? Again, just want to thank everybody and hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you guys. Everyone take care.